Hey, what's happening, everyone? Ready for a new mental game? Here we go. Sam Brief here, home studio in Chicago. So excited for the fourth edition of the mental game, post-Australia hiatus. And I'm really thrilled for this one because this is unique. This is someone who took a big risk, who's living somewhere he never thought he would live, and he stretched his comfort zone a lot. So now you're going to meet Chris Helbig, who right now is getting set for his second season playing American football in Europe. He's the starting quarterback for the Vienna Vikings. They play in the European League of Football, which, even if you're a diehard NFL fan, I'll bet like a couple bucks here, you've never heard of the European League of Football. Vienna Vikings are the defending champs, though, and Chris Helbig is their quarterback. A few years ago, he was a retired college football player, living at home, working his sales job, making money, feeling comfortable, but he missed football. He wanted to stretch his comfort zone, and he took a huge risk. He's really happy he did it. Chris is from Colorado, but now living in Vienna, and it's from his new apartment in Vienna that he joins this edition of the mental game. So enjoy Chris, enjoy the lessons, enjoy the stories, and I'll talk to you after the interview right here from Chicago. So now, here we go. Chris Helbig on the mental game. Time for the mental game with Chris Helbig, joining me from his new apartment in Vienna. What's up, Chris?
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Get up and give me a Viennese waltz, right? Isn't that the dance?
Oh, I don't think I've learned it yet, but I'm
Da,
sure.
da, 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 da. I'm tone deaf, but the Viennese waltz, I'm sure you'll learn it soon.
Hopefully, yeah. They haven't taught me much yet, so I'm sure I'll get some stuff here coming when the Austrian guys get back from Easter break.
All right, Chris, so I know you just got to Vienna, right? You played your last season in the German league in Potsdam, just outside of Berlin. You went home to Colorado, got to spend time with friends and family. Now you're in Vienna getting used to life in the third country you've lived in the last couple of years. So I want to sort of flash forward here, flash back and forward, because I'm skipping the first 20-something years of your life. But take me to spring 2020. It's, COVID's starting to take over, and you've finished your college career at Southern Utah. You're now at Eastern Michigan. You're realizing football ain't really happening because of the pandemic. What's going on in your mind, and what are you doing?
Yeah, so just being younger, and I guess not having a ton of hardships growing up, which honestly was a blessing. So COVID hits, and I'm kind of like, dang, man, I worked hard to get this opportunity, and now something I have no control over is going to come take it from me. They sent us home, and that's kind of when I just started working, and it was just comfortable for me. My senior year, I tore my ACL. The year before, I broke my collarbone, and then it kind of felt like, dang, this is happening when in real life I was losing a football season when there was way worse things going on around the world. So I just got a job offer and started working, and I got comfortable. You get a paycheck.
What was the job?
I was in sales. I sold tech for a company in Denver. It was a remote job, so I got to work from the comfort of my own home, work 9 to 5, get a nice paycheck, have food every night, just living at home for a while. Mom was going to cook, and stuff like that. So I really got comfortable, and I made the decision to take that comfortable route instead of the uncomfortable route of, this job can wait. Let's see where this football thing goes. I know it's tough right now, kind of with the what ifs. But just being young and not having many hardships, I chose the path of least resistance. And now that I'm older, looking back, I can obviously say, man, I wish I put myself through some tougher situations, some harder decisions. But that's something I think you live and learn, and it's better to learn late than never.
I'm really curious what was going on in your mind during that comfortable period, because, dude, I can relate. I mean, my first year after college, I was living at home with my mommy. She was cooking me dinner every night. I was making money and, not paying rent, not paying for food. So just seeing my bank account grow. And it felt great. But there's also that part of my mind at the time that's thinking, all right, I'm ready to get out and spread my wings a little bit, take some risks. So in that comfort period, what's going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was it looks nice, and then you get into it and you kind of feel like you're missing something. For me, it was kind of missing that competitive nature, that waking up early, getting on the field before anyone else does. So it was just when I got in that moment, I felt like it wasn't all that it panned out to be. When you look ahead and you see comfortable situations, it looked like it's all sunshines and rainbows. And then I got to that moment and I was kind of like, man, I feel like worse than when I was in the tough times, the unknown. I feel worse because I have all these things given to me and I'm still not as happy as I thought I would be. So it was kind of like that in my mind, like I need to find something that's going to kind of trigger me to do things that are uncomfortable again, just because that comfort zone looks nice and then you get in it and it's not as enjoyable as you think. I think most people, that's when they kind of want more and want more and want more is when they find that comfort zone. So, um, yeah, just mentally, I guess it was just kind of, this isn't what it pans out to be. I made a mistake somewhere. Let me evaluate where that was at.
Your college football career was over. You are looking at the future. You have these injuries. You're not in the NFL. What role did football play in your day to day life? I mean, are you going out every day and throwing passes? I mean, you got no one to throw to. There's a pandemic. So, what's the state of your football career at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I hung the cleats up. I was done. I would go coach some local quarterbacks. The high school I went to, so I have a good relationship with the coaches. So try to help out some of their quarterbacks, help out some more local guys in the Denver area. So I tried to stay around it a little bit, but I mean, my career was done. So for me, it was kind of, do I get into coaching? I actually started reading a ton of books just to try to kind of figure out what was next to me. I think being an athlete it consumes your life a lot of times, especially in college. And so when it ended for me, I really kind of lost my identity a little bit. Not just having more free time. I was instead of going and throwing, like you said, I didn't have to go throw or anything, so I had to figure out how to fill those voids. So yeah, I would say my career was done. I hung the cleats up. I was done. I started working, and then, like I said, when I kind of figured out like this is too comfortable, this future is not going to get me anywhere where I want to. And that's when I kind of started getting back into football. But I would say, yeah, for a solid at least 6 months, maybe even more. There was no throwing, just helping out local guys as much as I could. So,
So your the headline of your life, if I were to pitch you to someone at that time, 2020, it was Chris Helbig, former college football quarterback, tech salesman, living at home in Colorado with parents, done with football. And now I'm talking to you, and you're entering your second season playing in a European football league. You are a professional quarterback getting paid to play football again, and you're living on your own in a foreign country. Many steps happened to get from point A to point B there. So, how did you first plant this seed? Because you're talking to me from Vienna right now.
yeah, so it kind of just went back to what I really tried to base every decision on. I kind of heard it from someone, but I'm sure I've skewed it my own direction. It was when I'm on my deathbed and I look back, which decision am I going to be more proud of? Was it staying in Colorado and working? And yeah, that's great. There's nothing wrong with the 9 to 5. Everyone has to do it, and it's a great thing. I know today with social media and stuff, it's not really portrayed that way, but it's that's a hardworking life. But for me, I felt like there was more for me. So I kind of made that decision. Like, look, when I'm older and I look back, whether I go out there and I'm the worst quarterback in the league or the best quarterback in the league, I'm going to be happy that I said, I need to make a change, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get out of the comfort of my parents' home, the comfort of living in a country where I can go to the grocery store and talk to people when I need help. So I just kind of felt like this was something that was going to set me up for success in the long term of life, is just getting out of my comfort zone. Because Now I go to the grocery store here and I don't even know what the labels say. Paying at the cash register is just uncomfortable itself, and that's just something we don't deal with at home. So for me, where it started to kind of get the wheels turning was when I looked at myself as from an older version. Okay, what do I think is going to make more impact in my life? Away from money, away from family. Me, Chris Helbig. What is going to make me the happiest? And that's where I kind of started to make that decision and get back into it.
I love the attitude. I've experienced similar with making a decision to leave my home base in Chicago, go broadcast in Australia. Now, they do speak English there, sort of, so help at a grocery store comes a little easier, but not all the comforts of home. I mean, Amazon Prime is not quite as robust down under as it is here in America, but that's a story for a different time. So, Chris, first of all, what's the most interesting grocery store situation you've had in Europe? I'm so curious what
Oh,
you've ended up buying.
dude, it was my first time. So I'm already panicked. First time going to the grocery
This
store.
is Germany?
This is Germany,
Okay.
so everything I try to Google stuff and everything I see is the supermarkets here are you get through them. You get in, you get out, you bag your own groceries, and by the time she's done swiping the last thing, you better have all your stuff bagged because the next person's coming. So I get up to the front and I have bananas, and the lady keeps doing this to me after she speaks in German. And I say, Kein Deutsch, can't speak German. And I'm like, man, what is that? And I didn't know you had to weigh your own bananas before you went and purchased them. So I was just standing there, I'm sweating, I'm nervous. And I finally just go, just like, keep the bananas, just hurry up and check the rest of it out. And ended up asking a buddy on my team from Germany, and he kind of explained it to me. But that was a rude awakening. The first time I was terrified. I didn't get bananas for the next few times. I was like, man, I'm not dealing with this. No fruit for me. No fruit.
The story of how my potassium deficiency developed by
Yeah,
Chris Helbig.
yeah, pretty much. It was not worth it to me. I was ready to deal with whatever health issues I was gonna go through just to not have to deal with the cashier.
That's such a bad system. You got to weigh it and pay at the same time. Why you got to come to the cashier with your banana weight in check? That I don't really love that. But Chris, I love your attitude, so I'm going to get back to that. You make the decision, or you plant the seed in your head. Hey, I'm going to do something I'll be proud of on my deathbed. Something I can really feel fulfilled by. So there are a lot of routes for a former college football quarterback to get back into the game. You've taken a really unique one. How did this materialize?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it was just kind of fate, really. When I started making that decision, man, I need to make a change. Then I started having coaches reach out to me via social media. Hey, are you interested in playing in Europe? And at the time, I was like, man, I didn't even know you could get paid to go play in Europe. So it kind of just was like, I guess it aligned perfectly. When I said, boom, I need to make a change. I'm not happy. I'm not going to be happy when I start. If I work for the next 40 years, I'm going to be upset that I ended football on those terms. So what can I do? And then Potsdam reached out a couple other European teams, and for me, as soon as that came, boom, I took it as a sign. As like, okay, this is what I've been looking for. This is what I've been waiting for. This is an opportunity for me to really test myself. And I mean, you can play in the U.S., you can play arena, you can. There's some opportunity in the U.S. Not that I would have gotten any, but it's there. But for me, this is not only going to help me in football, but I think as a person, this is really going to help me going and seeing a different country, getting away from family. So that's as soon as they reached out, that's kind of what I took it as like this is a sign. This is what I need to do.
So it sounds like it was really instant, and you looked at it holistically, right? I mean, it seems like a lot of people in sports often have tunnel vision. I got to get to the top, right? Which for you is, I got to get to the NFL, right? I got to get to the NFL. So a lot of people end up making decisions solely based on that end goal. But it sounds to me like you made a decision, not just what's going to get me to the NFL because I need to do this. It was, what's going to stretch my comfort zone, grow me as a person, allow me to play football and chase my dreams, but also just become a more well-rounded Chris Helbig. Is that right?
Yeah, yep. I mean, look, I'm realistic. I know my opportunity to play at the highest league is past me. So, as much as I do love football, and I'm sure some coaches don't even like to hear this, I'm using sometimes like through college, I use football as a way to gain an education. Now I'm using football to gain an experience on life. Yes, football is great. I love going out there on Sundays and playing with my team and having the opportunity to still be around a team, which is hard to come by. But for me, it was just so much bigger than a decision to play football again. It was a decision of this is going to help me become the man that I want to be. This is going to help me feel more satisfied with the things I'm doing in life, help me push myself again to my limits physically, mentally, emotionally. So that was, I guess, the means behind my decision. It's great to be back in football, but it was such a bigger decision than that for me.
Incredible perspective. And I really want to hear how it's gone, because you're telling me how you felt, before you get on the flight to Berlin, and it's, oh, this is a great opportunity for me to grow mentally. Year one in Europe, it's past you. So how'd that all go?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. I was proud of myself. I feel like I made a great bunch of great friendships, took a bunch of opportunities to learn about people just growing up different. I know people grow up different in America. I'm sure you can imagine worldwide it's even way more different. So just different perspective on life. It was and it was all good. I broke my hand in the semis and didn't get to play the championship. And for me, just like we talked about, I'm big into the mental game. So I wish I would have approached that better. Uh, but
How
I will
so?
say, um, I kind of let it beat me up a little bit. I try not to show it when I was out there, try to support my teammates and help as much as I could in the championship game, just being on the sideline. But just looking back and reflecting when I got home, I felt like I could have done more, felt like I could have been around a little more, been there a little more. I kind of let the situation soak on me in the sense of I don't get to play in the championship instead of this is already a bonus. I'm out here. Um, I had surgery. My hand's gonna be good. It's not like I lost a thumb or anything. I don't get to play in the championship, but the backup quarterback does. And he was going through a rough situation. I come to find out he lost his mom a few weeks before he came to Germany, and I was there complaining about a hand. So for me, like just the perspective of I was selfish in the moment of I didn't get to play, got the team here, helped get the team here, and I don't even get this opportunity. So I wish that would have been different, but I think it was big for me to be able to look back and reflect and say, okay, I was better than when I broke my collarbone, but I'm still not where I need to be when things don't go my way.
So you wish you'd handled the broken hand differently, which tells me a lot about the way you'd grown as a person, because you had already dealt with an ACL, you dealt with a broken collarbone, but this one was in such a different environment. By that point late in the season, how comfortable were you in Germany?
I mean, I was comfortable. I knew everybody. I knew how to get around town. I knew what I needed to survive. I knew I was going home in a few weeks to see everybody. So I was extremely comfortable. I mean, I felt at home. They treated me well. So the aspect of living, it was great. I felt really good. Felt extremely happy. Proud of myself, proud of my teammates, made a ton of friends, checked stuff off on the bucket list. So it was really good.
How did your mind feel? Because we flashed back to 2020 living at home working in sales, and it sounded like your mind was feeling super short term satisfied. By that I mean you're getting a paycheck, you're getting free food, you're with your parents, it's all comfortable, but no fulfillment. Versus in Germany, you're getting the fulfillment that I hear in your voice, but you don't have some of those comforts. So mentally, how does Chris feel in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, mentally, I felt like I was in a great place, and it was coming from the place of, I did this thing. I looked back. and I kind of gave up the football dream, and most people would not have got back into it. So for me, it was kind of cool just to be like, not only did I hop back into it, the football piece, which is cool, but I've made so many strides just as a person, as an individual for my life that is cool to take away from this. So I was happy, and I think it really set me up for a future of success. So I think that little hiccup was tough, but I think it's something that I can use to grow from just because everything leading up to that was so good. We were undefeated. I was playing super well, even not playing for a couple years. So I think it was something I needed just in the longevity of really figuring out who I was.
I give you a damn award for it. And I would give a similar award to a lot of guys who come from America and go to this league and play in an uncomfortable environment. We give out awards for just basic things like, offensive player of the year. Those are great, but for you to go 6 months without throwing a football, living at home in Colorado, to living and playing on your own in Germany, I mean, that is super cool. I'm really curious, Chris, about the football. This is sort of outside of the mental game for a moment, but is football in Europe the same as football in America? Like, what is it like there?
Yeah, I mean it's same rules, NFL rules,
Mm-hmm.
same. Yeah, I guess same feel. I will say, honestly, just Europe as a whole, I feel like is a better work-life balance, and that's a day-to-day job and a sports job. I think that they do a way better job. I feel like America kind of runs the rat race of just working yourself to death, and so here sports and life. I think they do a good job kind of balancing stuff. So you do have more free time when it's not football time here. Guys like to go do their hobbies, go like to do other things and stuff, which is cool just because kind of that American mindset is the rat race where I could be working right now, working, working, working. So that was cool for me to see too. I think that made a big difference, just being able to just hang out for a little bit and just forget about football and learn about these people and go see the city and stuff. So that was cool. So I would say it's very American in the sense of everyone speaks English on the football teams. The terminology is just what you would hear in like an American huddle and stuff. But I would say like following wise, it's hard to say, but I would compare it to like the MLS back at home where it has kind of its select group of fans, but it's not the biggest sport. Obviously, soccer here is massive. So it's kind of that select group of fans that want something different. And that's kind of the MLS is probably second or third to football and basketball and stuff like that. So it's a little bit smaller, but the cities do take care of you. They like you. They know about the good teams in town and stuff like that. So it's actually pretty cool. It's cool for people to come up and try to speak a little English, ask for pictures and autographs and stuff. So that's cool. I think it's definitely growing too, but yeah, it's NFL rules. It's football.
It's football, and that must be really comforting for you. It also sounds comforting to experience that work-life balance, and many Americans will go to other countries and experience that. I mean, it's just a reality. America versus the rest of the world. It's rat race, work, 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 work. I mean, we have this song, work, 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 work. It's like everywhere else, it's just like relax, relax, chill, sleep, travel. Um, how hard is it, though, or do you think it will be, to take that mindset that you've learned about and apply it to your life back in America? You were just in Colorado for a little bit. I assume you eventually will be back in America long term, and correct me if I'm wrong, but how do you keep that new mindset?
Yeah, I mean, for me, what had already changed is I thought I wanted to be a college football coach before I left for Germany. Then when I got out to Germany, it really kind of makes you reflect being that far away from family and from friends. And I think comparatively, college coaches are always on the move, different cities, different countries, not different countries, sorry, different states, different cities. not a lot of family time, not a lot of opportunity to spend time with your kids, with your spouse, things like that. So I think that already has made a difference. I college coaching is kind of on the back burner for now. But I think that's something that's big for me is I do want to make sure that that's something that I do bring into my life when I'm done with football is a work-life balance where I'm working to provide, but I also want to make sure that I'm chasing the stuff that I still want to do in life and not just working to make someone else richer, which is kind of like that rat race that we have in America.
That is so cool. I mean, you go overseas and the lessons of the world at large have taught you, hey, I want to do a different career probably. I want to approach whatever career I have differently. I want to live my life more. You're going to have a way better life as a result of that. That alone, you could get injured on the first day of the season. I'm not trying to speak this into existence, but you could never play again for whatever reason. And I would say it's still a smash hit success for you. So that's awesome, Chris.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I think that's something that I figured out here is just having some teammates from Europe is like, it's the money chase in America. And here it's like, man, you can still make money and enjoy life. Like they can go hand in hand. And that's just something that, I mean, obviously I wasn't in the work world for long, and sales alone is kind of um, uh, I guess, a difficult work environment just because it's a very competitive work environment. But that's something that I saw then was it's a rat race. And here it's kind of like these guys are like, man, you can work and still enjoy life. You can still spend time with your family. You can still spend time with friends. You can still have a hobby that you want to turn into a small business in a few years, stuff like that. And that was cool to see. And that's something that I was like, man, I'm taking that from you guys and bringing it back with me.
I love that. I'm taking it and
Yeah.
bringing it. And you better spread that around.
Yep.
Leaving family, right? You're from the States. You're from Colorado. You were living at home. Most of your time in college, you were close-ish to home, definitely in the same country. And then suddenly you got an 8-hour time difference, no one in your family with you. How have you managed that?
Yeah, I mean, luckily, today you can Zoom, FaceTime, text, so you can be as close as you can from far away, which is nice. But really, the biggest thing for me is I know now that when I'm gone for these few months is to really appreciate the time that you have together back at home. So that was cool for me. Just being back at home, actually hanging out, and doing some stuff we probably wouldn't normally do if I wasn't leaving. So for me, what really makes me appreciate being out here and being able to, I guess, deal with the distance of family is just appreciating the time when we're together for those 6 months. That's kind of the biggest thing. And then just from here, it's the Zooms and the stuff like that. And but yeah, here it's tough. It is tough. I mean, it's tough not seeing your family for 6, 7, 8 months, especially on holidays and things like that. But it really taught me to appreciate the time that you are together and you do have. So that's helped me in the last 2 years.
You appreciate so much more of life now, clearly, not just with the work-life balance, but with family. It sounds to me like the Chris of today is so different than the Chris of, let's say, 2018. What would you say, in a nutshell, is the biggest difference between those two versions of you?
Um, that's a deep, tough question. Let's see. The biggest difference, I would say, um, honestly, we haven't really talked about this, but it was focusing on what I can control. You can't control injuries, you couldn't control COVID, but I could control how I woke up and approached each day, how I approached family time, how I approached the opportunity to live in Europe, how I approached comfort versus doing something uncomfortable for a better future for myself. So that's honestly been the biggest difference is I get in these situations now and it's kind of like what focus on what I control. What can I do here? If it's out of my control, I try not to worry about it. Um, that, and then just focus on the people around me. In college, it's easy to, and even in high school now, it's easy to get caught up on what others are saying about you, whether it's in recruiting or as a quarterback, or as a college athlete. So for me, it's if you're not in my group of 7 to 10 people that's getting me better every single day and what I wake up and look forward to talk to, then I don't really care what you have about me because I'm here to make the world a better place, and that starts with just being a better person yourself. So who I am as a quarterback has no say in who I am in life. And after I realized that, it was kind of just like, man, like just treat people the right way and the world will work out how it's supposed to.
Control what you can control.
Yep.
It is one of the hardest things to do.
And
It's
I'm yeah,
it's really damn hard.
I'm terrible at it, and that's I focus on it. That's my main focus every day, and I suck at it.
Yeah, hey, me too, dude. But thinking about it is half the battle. And I think a lot of it is modern society makes us think we can control more than we can. I mean, let's think back to our caveman ancestors. They couldn't make phone calls, they couldn't travel long distances, they couldn't text, right? So they really could only control their immediate environment and the people they were living with right in front of them. But now we got these phones and computers and airplanes and all this technology. I mean, I could be doing this podcast and simultaneously like securing a business deal with someone over email. And like, it just, I'm not, but it makes my mind think that sometimes. So you try to practice it. It's not always perfect, though. Do you think you're better at it now than you were when you got to Germany?
Yes, I would say that just being conscious about it, just being aware about it, like you kind of said, just thinking about it makes a world difference. I'm never going to be perfect and I'm never going to be able to only control what I can. I hope I can one day, but I just know the realization of us as humans that sometimes we compare, which I we compare, we always want more. If someone does us wrong, we feel like somehow we were involved in it. So I would say I'm better just because it crosses my mind all the time. And when things get tough, it's what can I control? What can I do right now to make the situation better?
Here with Chris Helbig on the mental game, leap of faith to go from working a desk job, really a couch job in America, to playing football in the European League of Football, which I think a lot of people, even diehard NFL fans here, don't even know exists. But I've been looking at this league for the last couple months. It's awesome. It starts in June. How fired up are you for year two playing in Europe for the Vienna Vikings?
Yeah, I'm super pumped. They won the championship last year
Yep.
here in Vienna, brought a lot of the team back. So for me, it's a cool opportunity. It's a cool opportunity to be a part of a good culture, a culture that's already set, a culture that's in place, which sometimes in Europe you don't have that just because there's a lot of change every year. So I'm super excited. I've met a lot of the guys. Obviously, I've met the coaches and just the environment. It's a good place to be right now.
Looking around Europe, it's so cool to see the teams and the countries represented in this league. I mean, it's everything from Austria to Holland to Germany to France, Switzerland, to Poland, all over the place. And you'll get to travel around, and you have traveled around. So let's hear favorite city you've been to and favorite site you've seen in all your travels.
Yeah, let's see. Oof. Favorite city that I've been to, I would say was probably Budapest, Hungary. That was uh that was different than I mean, you hear the stories of friends and family going to Spain, to Germany, to Portugal, London, stuff a little more west. So last year I wanted to go to Hungary just to kind of go to a place that no one's ever been that I know. So that was really cool to see. I thought Germany was old. I think Budapest looked really a lot older, a lot more um, I guess history. It seems like I'm no history buff, but maybe more Eastern European than Berlin is. So just the architecture and stuff, that was cool to see. And then the coolest thing that I've seen, let's see. I went to a concentration camp last year in Germany, and I wouldn't say like cool in the sense of obviously cool, just to be able to go to one of those places was absolutely mind blowing, and it was hands down the best experience that I had last year in Europe was being able to go actually see one of those places and actually kind of see what not what it was like, but just the land and stuff like that. That was mind blowing. That was something that I'll remember forever.
Must really put it in perspective. I've never been to a concentration camp. I have family members who have, and they shared with me that one of the most daunting parts of that is realizing, hey, that was not that long ago, right? And that was real life, and it's a horrible tragedy feel real, but they've said it was life-changing, and I can tell for you it was similar.
Yeah, no, it's the crazy part is you can just think about it, just normal people, man. It was going and seeing that was definitely something that puts life in perspective for the few hours you're there. And that's something I just feel like in America we don't have a ton of way back history. So here there's a ton of that old stuff, which was cool to see. But just going to that camp actually was definitely top thing that I was able to do last year.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. And also, Budapest, a city I've been to. I love, love, love that city. Did you have a Tridelnik?
I probably not. I'm a picky eater, so
It was, I'm a picky eater too, but this stuff was kind of imagine like a cone, giant cone, cinnamon sugar bready thing with a bunch of ice cream in the middle.
Yeah, I had that in Prague actually. It was the
Okay.
best dessert I've ever had.
It
It
was
was
amazing. Oh
like
my God.
a mix of a churro and an ice cream cone,
That's
and
what it
just
is.
the dessert. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so folks listening at home who haven't had a Tridelnik, first of all, Google it. But yeah, Chris described it better than me. Imagine a churro shaped like a cone, giant, bigger than your head, with ice cream in the middle. It's joy in a dessert.
yes, yeah. No, that was yeah. I never found them back at home, so that was
They don't
disappointing.
have them here. They don't have them
Maybe
here.
maybe we can put our minds together and start a little Turnic company.
Yeah, Sam and Chris's Tridelnik company. We'll go on Shark Tank, Chris.
Yeah.
But first, I really appreciate you coming on this podcast. It's super cool to hear about your journey, such a unique journey. Other guys are doing it, but not the way you have, right? And everyone's story is unique. Yours is, frankly, inspirational. I don't think that's overly dramatic. And I really appreciate you coming on, being honest, and sharing your story with us, Chris.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was an honor. Like I said, when I saw the message and saw the title alone, that was big for me. I'm huge into that aspect of things. So it was a cool opportunity. So I appreciate it.
I'm really glad you said yes, Chris. And consider me a Chris Helbig fan, and certainly for the next few months, a massive Vienna Vikings fan. I might hop on the online store and get some gear. But I don't want anyone in Chicago to think that I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, so I got to be careful.
That's the tough part where you're at. I think the logos are the same, maybe one flipped the other way or something. There's maybe just a little different. So make sure you get something that says Vienna on it, so you don't get beat up over there in Chicago on the wrong Sunday in November or something.
Yeah, it sort of looks like they took the Minnesota Vikings logo and just erased Minnesota and put Vienna, which is fine. I mean, hey, the logo works, so you might as well.
Yep. It is what it is, but it's traditional, so it goes well here.
Chris Helbig, quarterback for the Vienna Vikings of the European League of Football. A really cool headline, and one that you should be proud of. Thanks again, Chris.
Thank you.
Hey, everyone. Sam back here in the studio. First of all, Tridelnik, Trdelnik. Google it. Try to get it. It's amazing. It's the best dessert you'll ever have, and I'm really glad that Chris agreed with me. But more than that, what a great interview with Chris. Isn't he awesome? I mean, this is a guy who was so comfortable, and he could have stayed there and he could have been done with football. And how many athletes have you heard anecdotally always chasing that ultimate goal? I got to get to the NFL. I got to play in a Super Bowl. I will sell everything to make it happen. And Chris is being realistic. He's saying, listen, I'm 25, I'm playing in Europe. I'm not going to make it to the NFL. But that's fine, because football for me is a way to open doors, open opportunities. Totally succeeding in that. So whether he doesn't play a snap this season or wins a championship and is the MVP and the best player in league history, it's a success for Chris. So big thank you to Chris Helbig for coming on the podcast, listening, and subscribing. And if you haven't, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Helps a lot. Leave a review. Let me know what you think, and we'll keep churning out these mental games for you. Also, quick favor you could do for me possibly is support me and the Lasers Ladybug Society, which is a wonderful charity based in Virginia that's all about mental health support. Schools, the education system, really anywhere that needs it. They start on a small scale so that they can make impact. So all the money you give them, John and Renee Laser, helps small mental health programs across the country. I'm going to run a half marathon here in Chicago, 4th of June, and I'm trying to raise $2,000 to help support them. As I'm recording this, I'm at 1868. I'm really close. So give me a couple bucks and help me get to the finish line, both figuratively and literally. Also, I put this out on Twitter, but if I do get to 5,000, I'll do the full marathon in October. I think I can do the half marathon fine. Full marathon, I need to train a little bit. So give me some homework, make me train for a full marathon, and donate. I'll put the link in the bio. It's on GoFundMe. All right, this has been The Mental Game. I'm Sam Brief. Always great to chat with you, and I'll talk next time. Adios from Chicago.